All right, well, I'll tell you what, I'll go ahead and start with some of the basics and some of the housekeeping here this morning, and then we'll get started and give people a little bit longer to join us. But we are just thrilled to have you guys with us. The slide that's up right now is just a reminder. Obviously, you have discovered our CARE seminars, and we are so glad that you did. And just a reminder, we do have, I believe, 3 more coming up this afternoon and then a couple next week. And so please register for those. If if they hit on your sweet spot or you're interested, more information, I think, coming up on sales. Also, please, just a reminder on the CARES application, we are going to be using some of our funding to hire experts, such as Ms. Merritt here, to individually help your small business, but we need you to fill out the application. So please take a moment and do that. And we hope to help as many small businesses as we can. So welcome to our CARE seminar today, Effective Online Strategies for the 21st Century. I'd like to introduce you to Kim Merritt here. Kim is living the entrepreneurial dream, although she said sometimes nightmare, since she started her first company, Kim's Chocolate, at the age of 11. After making 18,000 candy bars for her high school fundraiser, Kim graduated early and went straight into business. When Guy Kawasaki read about her, he invited her to make chocolate for Apple, and the rest was history. But it was after her second company, an e-commerce company that was grossing over $4 million annually in the late 2000s, went bankrupt, that Kim was led into freelancing. Her current company, the URL Doctor, a digital marketing agency, specializes in online marketing and the creation of e-learning content for businesses that want to teach and train online. Kim has been speaking and educating business owners and entrepreneurs how to make money with the freelance economy for several years. And she feels confident that there is financial freedom, life balance, and the power to lead your own destiny through freelancing. So Kim, we are looking forward to hearing your thoughts and ideas for us this morning.
Thank you so much, Betsy. Thank you for inviting me. I'm thrilled to be here and hopefully have got some great ideas on effective online strategies that everybody can leave this presentation with and actually use to better their companies and their bottom lines right from the get-go. So let's dive in and get started. So I've got a tip for you to get the most out of today's webinar. If you can silence your cell phones, I know it's hard, but silence your phones, turn off notifications, don't check your emails. If I can get your undivided attention for the next 45 minutes to an hour, I think you'll really get a lot out of today's presentation. We will end with an FAQ at the end, so feel free to put your questions as we go throughout the presentation today into the chat window, and we'll answer them all at the end. So let's make sure that you're in the right place. So does this sound like you? You're a business owner who's looking to increase sales and your results online. You are overwhelmed with trying to figure out the technology you need and what you should be doing online. You have a website, but it doesn't bring in any business. Your business has been impacted by COVID and you need some strategies that you can increase your bottom line right now. You know, all of us, you want to succeed online. I want to succeed online. It's really, we do have the ability, we can succeed online if we know some of the tips and tricks and behind the scenes that some of the online marketing professionals have in their toolkit. And, you know, there is so much information out there. It really can be confusing and you can feel like you're all alone because you don't know who to trust. You don't know whose words to listen to, but we're going to set the record straight today and help you figure out exactly what you need to do to move forward. So what we're going to talk about, what you'll discover, how to use simple website best practices to make sure your site isn't chasing business away, how to use online freelance sites to grow your sales, one of my favorite topics, how to use Google Adwords to increase traffic and sales, and how to use Google My Business to increase your visibility online for free. So as Betsy said, I'm Kim Merritt, the URL doctor. I'm an online marketing and website strategist. I'm a small business advocate, and I am an e-learning and e-commerce expert. So I've got a lot of different specialties that come from 42 years worth of being in business. And yes, I really did start when I was 11. So, but let's dive in and let's see what information I can share with you that will help your situation. So in 2021, you have to have a professional online presence. It's even more important now than ever. You really are not going to be taken seriously in business today if you do not have a website or your website doesn't look professional. If it's outdated, if you haven't touched it in 5 or even 10 years, there's a problem. We need to have it updated and have it really look professional for people to want to deal with you. You know, I get small businesses who ask me all the time, do I really need a website? Can't I just have a Facebook page? And let me be emphatically clear. Yes, you really, really do need a website. You cannot just have a Facebook page. You need to be in complete control of your online presence. You don't own your Facebook page. Facebook does. So at whatever point Mark Zuckerberg wakes up and decides he's going to change an algorithm, he's going to change what you can present to your customers and what you can't, that's a problem for you as a business owner. You need to be in control of that, and you can be in control of your website. Now, you also need to own and be in control of your contacts. Social media is great. We love it. But unfortunately, you don't own your audiences on social media networks. The social media network does. That's why email isn't dead. That's why it's still super important. And your website and your social media activities should be collecting the email addresses of your audience so that you can own your contact information and you can be in control of when and how you correspond with those contacts. So we'll talk more about this in just a bit. Your website also needs to be mobile friendly. So even if you don't look at your website on a mobile phone, I'm here to tell you that your customers and your prospective customers do. 80% of adults have their smartphones on their person 22 out of 24 hours during the day and evening. So your website is being viewed on mobile devices and it needs to be mobile friendly. It needs to be designed in responsive design. And we started saying this years and years ago, but I still find that I have to tell small businesses that your website really needs to be responsive design. And what that means is that the screen and the layout is going to change based on the device that you use. So your website's going to look a little bit different on a mobile phone than it would on a desktop. It's going to automatically change the layout based on the device that's being used. And this is important not just for your visitors, but also for Google. Google prefers responsive web design. It's now part of their search algorithm. You don't want to be penalized for not having a website with responsive design. And they provide a great free tool to check your mobile friendliness. You can go to search.google.com/test/mobile-friendly. And you can put your URL in and it will tell you whether or not your website is mobile friendly. Now your website also needs to be fast. Your pages should load in 2 seconds or less. If your pages hang, that's a problem. They did this study years ago about what a 1-second delay in page response, what that can do to your conversion rate. It can drop it 7%. So $10,000 a day in sales times a 1-second delay can cost a business $250,000 a year in potential lost sales, because we're all trained for things to happen instantaneously online. And when we have to wait, people don't have patience for that. They'll hit the back button and they'll go to the next person in the search results, your competitor. You don't want to lose that potential business. So here are 2 more free tools that you can use to check your website speed. One is Pingdom at tools.pingdom.com. The other is Google at developers.google.com/speed. You can put your URL address in and it will tell you how fast your pages are loading. And my suggestion is you may even want to try it at different times of the day, even different days of the week. It can have a tendency to change, but to get an overall idea of how fast your website is. Another thing you want to check is if your website actually works. You want to make sure all the pages load. A lot of times pages break, things happen over the course of time. You can have something happen where somebody took down a page, they don't realize the links are still there and they don't work now. So you want to fix any page errors. Google, again, will penalize a site that has errors in the search ranking. So you want to make sure this is a quick and easy fix to make sure the pages of your website are actually all still working. So lead gen or sales, there's really two functions that our websites have or should have. One is e-commerce if you're selling products online, and not everybody does, but every business that isn't selling a product online should at least be generating leads from their website. So you should be collecting email addresses and lead information from people who are visiting your website. This is super important. And even if you have an e-commerce site, you should still be gathering leads from that site from asking for email addresses. So let me give you two examples. These are both from another company that I own, Good Dog in a Box. This is a company I started with my sister about 5 years ago. She was a professional dog trainer. And this site sells online reward-based dog training for families with kids and dogs, and we sell dog bite prevention curriculum. So this is a great example of lead generation on our site. This is for new dog owners. You can put your name and your email address in, and you get an ebook on what to do with that new dog when you first bring it home. And it doesn't have to be an ebook. It could be a PDF. It can be tips and tricks. It could be safety tips. It could be something of value. It could even be a quiz or an assessment. Just anything of value that you have that you can share with your audience and trade them for their email address. So here's another example, and this takes it even a bit further. This gets into segmentation. So this form on our site will give somebody this another ebook that we wrote, 20 ways to keep your kids and dogs safe. So it's all about dog bite prevention and things that you want to do when you have kids in your house. So you put your email address and your name in, but it also asks you a question. There's a little checkbox. It wants to know if you're a dog owner or if you're a professional and you work with dogs. So we have two very different segments with Good Dog in a Box. We have dog owners and we have dog professionals. So this form easily finds out when somebody downloads this book, what bucket they fall into. Our site is integrated with MailChimp, which is our third-party email service. And when they check one of those boxes, it automatically puts that person and their email address in two different groups, one for dog owners, one for dog professionals. Segmentation is super, super important. I wouldn't send the same email to somebody that owns a dog versus somebody that's professionally working with a dog. They're kind of two different messages, two different sets of products. So you really want to segment your list into different groups so that you can be very specific with the products and services and messaging that you contact them with. So let's talk about Google My Business. So if you've not claimed your Google My Business listing, you need to do that. It is completely free, and it's a great way to not only help your business get found online, but it also helps with search engine optimization, especially with local map search. Google My Business listings actually show up higher in organic search results through map search than regular results. So this is important for you to be listed. And it gives your business another way to get found online other than just your website. So let's go over 7 easy and free things that you can do to improve your Google My Business listing and get more eyeballs on your business. So number 1, lengthy descriptions. You do not just want to write 1 or 2 sentences in the description fields about your business, your product, your service, your brand. You want to write a paragraph, be detailed, really kind of get into what you do. Google needs that information to be able to know where to show you in the search results. So you want to be specific. So, don't just write a sentence or two. The next part of that is use keywords. Use keywords that describe your product or your service in your business name field and also in the description fields. Again, this is a search engine. It needs those keywords to know what it is that you do so Google knows where to show you in the search results. Next, you need to use your NAP consistently. So NAP stands for name, address, and phone number. And you want to make sure that wherever online, whether that's on your website, with Google, with other directories, social media, wherever your name, address, and phone number is listed, that it is exactly the same, that it's spelled the same, street spelled the same, or avenue spelled out or abbreviated, however you decide to do it, the state's spelled out or abbreviated, however you do that, do it exactly the same everywhere. And if your address or your phone number has changed in the past couple of months or couple of years, you want to make sure that that's updated everywhere to match. Next, you want to ask your audience, your clients, for Google reviews. The more Google reviews you have, the higher up in the rankings you'll be placed. Ask all your satisfied customers for reviews. What I suggest to businesses, if they've never done this before, if they've never asked for reviews, look back over the past 6 or 12 months at all the customers you've done business with. Pick the ones that would really be the most likely to give you a 5-star review. If there was anybody that was a little disgruntled, don't send one to them, but find those ones that really you did a good job for and were really happy with your service, and send them an email with a link to Google to place a review and ask them if they would review your service on Google. And, let's say you have 100 customers that you could send an email to. Don't send 100 emails out tomorrow. You want to kind of stagger it, because if all of a sudden you have all these reviews show up in Google where you didn't have any, Google tends to think it's spam. So you want to kind of stretch them out. Maybe send 10 or 15 requests this week and another 10 or 15 requests next week. And not everybody will place a review, but there will be some that will, and that will really, really help you get found in Google, particularly in the map search results. Next, you want to fill out all the additional information fields, whether that's all the different fields they have. Add images of your business location and your products and your services and your employees and what's going on. Use the call to action buttons to direct visitors to do something like download a white paper or watch a video or grab a coupon. Google wants to see your Google My Business profile completely filled out and wants to see you adding and updating information regularly. So when you do that, again, it's going to increase your placement in the search results. And add categories. Add your business to multiple categories, as many as you're allowed. Obviously, choose the most relevant ones first, but even if there are some that, aren't quite as relevant as the others, add as many as Google will allow you to, because it'll help you get found more often. And add posts to Google My Business. So if you're posting on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, post to Google My Business too. Again, Google wants to see you on here interacting with this product, with this part of their system. And the more that you post to it, the more relevant you become. So now let's talk about the online freelance sites. And I'm talking about Upwork and Fiverr and Freelancer, just for example. There are hundreds and hundreds of these freelancing platforms online. And there's 2 different ways that you as a small business can use the freelance sites. So the first way is to look for help. So maybe you need specialized help that you can't find locally, or maybe you need cheaper help than what's available locally in your market. So you can find help and hire on the freelance platforms. And they're not employees, so you don't have to pay all of the workman's comp and all the social security and all that. These are 1099 employees, and you don't even have to worry about the paperwork The freelance site does that for you. So, you're really hiring somebody by the hour or by the project, depends on the system and depends on who you're dealing with. The other way you can use these online freelance sites, even if you do not consider yourself a freelancer, is as a lead generation tool. I have 9 employees, but I'm a freelancer on Upwork. I also have a freelancing agency on Upwork, but I'm still listed individually on Upwork as a freelancer. And my company gets a tremendous amount of business off of that site alone. I can probably pretty much guarantee that Microsoft, if they found me in a search result, probably would not deal with me, but on Upwork, they have. So there's Fortune 500 companies on Upwork. There's small individual, authors and small business owners and other freelancers. There's all different types of businesses of all different sizes. Don't think that this is just, one particular thing or another. There's a lot of different types of businesses that are out there using these freelance sites. So 66% of skilled freelancers in a study, Freelancing in America, that was done in 2019, were currently obtaining freelance projects online. And I can pretty much guarantee that with the pandemic has shot up significantly. 68% of skilled freelancers, again in 2019, said that the amount of work they obtained online had increased in the past year. I will tell you from my personal experience, my business doubled last year during a pandemic, and in large part because of being on the freelance sites and being able to use them as lead generation tools and getting more customers from them. So here's a great part of that study. Where did you find freelance work? And you'll see my little arrow is pointed. 29% found it on the general freelance websites like Upwork and Guru and Fiverr. But if you go down a couple of lines, you'll see that there's a specialized freelance website. 18% of people found jobs on specialized sites. For example, a 99 Designs, which is for design work. So if you are any kind of a graphic artist, 99 Designs would be a specialized site that you could do business on, as well as the general freelance sites. So let's talk about the 3 largest ones. Upwork, which is my personal favorite, in large part because of how much business I do on Upwork. I like this system. I like the way it works. I like their admin panel. They have the largest number of categories of any of the online freelance sites. There are over 3,500 different categories and skills that you can either hire or find work on in this system. 12 million plus freelancers on Upwork, 5 million plus clients. I know that last year they kind of did a restructuring and they got rid of a lot of their unperforming freelancers. I think 1.8 million freelancers were dumped off this system last year because they were non-performing ones. This system is very interested in, professionals. They want somebody who really has a great skill set. Even though you can be a beginner, you can be an intermediate skill, you can be experienced, but they want somebody who's dedicated to putting forth a professional work ethic and manner. Freelancers earning, freelancers earned over $1 billion on this platform last year. What does it cost to do business? It's not cheap. Freelancers pay between 5 and 20% of everything that they earn in fees back to Upwork, and it's a sliding scale. So the first $500 you earn, they take 20%. From 500 to 10,000, they take 10%, and then over 10,000, they take 5%. And that's through the lifetime of that client, not just a single contract. So it definitely is advantageous to find long-term clients on this system. You also can pay a monthly fee of $15 and you get a couple of extra bonuses with that, but you don't have to. You don't have to pay anything to actually just be on the system. On the other side, with clients, you pay 3 to 10% in fees for all the hiring that you do. Again, you don't have to pay for a membership. They have a free membership. And when I hire on Upwork, I don't pay anything to do that. But you can pay for additional monthly services up to $600 a month for really big companies, but you don't need to. So next is freelancer.com. So this is the largest online freelance site for the number of jobs posted and the number of freelancers on their system, 42 million freelancers. They have 1,350 different categories, 247 different countries represented on this platform, 15 million plus jobs posted annually. And Freelancer charges 10% as a flat fee you pay in fees for anything you make on the system. You also pay for the ability to submit proposals, and you earn tokens that you pay for that with. You pay up to $70 a month for those tokens, depending on how many you buy. So it goes from a few dollars a month up to 70. On the client side, there's a 3% fee for all the hiring that you do. And last but not least, we have Fiverr. And Fiverr works a little bit differently than Upwork and Freelancer does. This is an online marketplace. So kind of like when you go look for something on Amazon, let's say you're looking for a logo, you're going to search logos, and they're going to be actual logo products that you can buy. You buy that service on here at a particular rate, and you can, add different things onto that. This particular system, 200 categories, so not as many different things that you can buy or sell, but still a huge market, 50 million transactions a month, 160 countries that are represented on this system. This one is the most expensive though. The Fiverr takes 20% of everything that a freelancer makes as a flat fee. On the client side, they take 5%. So what exactly can you do and what can you hire for on these systems? I mean, like I said, Upwork alone, there's over 3,500 different skills and categories. It's everything from game development, financial planning, SEO, animation, fashion design, architecture, chemistry. There's all kinds of medical related fields on here, and one way to think about this is, you look and say, well, that's not really my thing. But if you've been impacted by COVID, if your sales have fallen off, if you over the next couple of months or even the next year or two need to make some additional money, and you have personally or people on your staff have a specialty and you have a knowledge base and you have experience, you can sell the services behind that knowledge base. And these freelance sites are a great place to do that. In fact, it could possibly even open up a whole new area of your business that you'd never even considered before. I consult in everything from e-commerce, online marketing, to all types of e-learning and instructional design, setting up LMS systems. So I've got several different categories that I fall under and work with. And I've done things with business strategy because I've been in business for 40 years and have a lot of experience with that. And people want that knowledge base. And this is one of the places that I sell that. I find customers who want to buy that on this system. So strategies for getting started as a freelancer. Research the demand for your skills and service. Do some searches on Upwork, do some searches on Fiverr, on Freelancer, see which ones seem to have the most jobs, the least amount of competition. Develop your reputation on one online freelance site before opening multiple accounts. I would do one at a time. When I initially started, I had accounts on 4 different systems, and it was really, really tough to keep track of all of them. And one of them kind of ends up always being the biggest one anyways, the one that you spend your most time on. So I would develop one, and then once you kind of get one going, then go into a second or a third. Join some freelancing groups and reach out and talk to other freelancers to get ideas and recommendations. Participate in online skill training or educational courses related to the work that you do or that you want to do. My company, for example, we have an online course called the Freelancing Economy that we sell that teaches people how to either work on Upwork or how to hire on Upwork. That's, an example. We also have a free podcast that I do every week called The Freelance Economy that talks about all these different things. And there's other training out there as well. There's training within each of the systems. So lots of different places that you can go to kind of educate yourself on the options. You can also seek out a mentor or coaches to help you get started. Fill out your profile completely. Just like I told you with Google My Business, don't leave any fields not filled in and blank. You want to have that profile be 100% complete. And on Upwork in particular, you can't even apply for a job unless your profile is 100% complete. So just get in the habit of doing that. Pick the right categories. Again, these are search engines. They're keyword based. So you're going to want to make sure you pick the right category. And you're going to want to make sure you use the right keywords in the title, in your profile, in your job descriptions. That's going to help you get found. If the system has a verification process, get verified from either the hiring or the freelancing side. It's just added credibility for you. And I suggest buy a domain address and use a business email address. Upwork in particular prefers business email addresses versus Gmail or other types of non-business specific emails. It can have a huge bearing on whether or not you get accepted, because keep in mind, just because you apply doesn't mean you're going to get on with every one of these systems. You want to distinguish yourself, and that's a good way to do it. I also suggest always, 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 because even if you're a freelancer, you are a small business owner, you're in business, you need a professional looking business website. And I can tell you every one of the proposals that I put in on Upwork, we direct people back to our website to look and, see we're a real professional company. I don't just, yes, I do it in my living room or in my house, but it's a professional company. I'm a real company and have been for 12, 13 years. And here are case studies, here's companies we've dealt with. That professional looking website just, again, gives you added credibility that will put you above and beyond the other people who are putting in proposals on the jobs that you're bidding on. So as we discussed earlier, it's imperative that you collect email addresses of your customers and your prospective customers so that you can market to them on your terms and not somebody else's. Email is a great way to stay in front of your audience with customized messages that speak directly to the problems and needs of your audience. An email list with potential clients who are interested in your product offering will, on average, convert better than other forms of advertising. So let's discuss a couple of easy email marketing techniques that can lead to some really big results. So first of all is autoresponders. And these are a series of automated emails that are sent when something happens. For example, a prospective client signs up for a download on your website, or someone clicks on a link on your site or an email, or a visitor lands on a certain page of your website. That helps to keep you in front of your audience. So all of these events can trigger an automated group of emails that can be sent to a recipient over a scheduled period of time. So you could have 3 emails go out automatically, one each week, after that trigger event took place, to give your recipients more information about you, your company, your products, your services, all to help them make a decision about doing business with you. So you can also use autoresponders for promotions, for contests, for special events, for onboarding new employees or customers. Any instance where you have a series of emails being sent over a period of time, whether it be days or weeks or months, autoresponders are a great way to do that. Now, again, segmentation, another area of email marketing we talked briefly about before. It means dividing people on your email list into groups based on different criteria. And there's no right or wrong answer to what that criteria should be. It's really what works for your business. It could be geographic location. It could be the product or service that they're interested in. It could be the industry that they do business in. It could be whether they're wholesale or retail. Again, no right or wrong answer. It's just what makes the most sense for you. The idea with segmentation is that it allows you to divide your potential customers up into different groups so you can customize the messages that you send to them. The more customized your email messaging is, the more successful your email campaigns are going to be. Do not send the same message to everyone. Target your message to your audiences. And again, automation. When someone joins your list on your website or through social media, automatically schedule a welcome email confirming that they joined and welcoming them to your list. You can automatically send emails when it's a customer's birthday or an anniversary from when they did business with you. All little ways to keep in front of your audience. You can schedule promotional campaigns, holiday campaigns, all ahead of time. Then these emails go out automatically. The more you automate, the better for you. And reviews. You should be asking in email for reviews on sites, especially Google and other review sites if they are, have something to do with your industry. Just send customers an email with a link to where they can submit a review for Google. Google, again, rewards businesses with good reviews, with higher placement in local map search results. But not only is it good for search results, it's good for your business. People do business with companies with good reviews. We all use reviews now. It's credibility, it boosts your reputation. So set up an automated email that'll go out automatically when a client purchases or after they've completed, some part of the purchase process, and it all can go out automatically so that you don't have to be responsible for it. So let's talk about 10 ways that you can easily and quickly grow your email list. So number one, include a link to your sign up form in your email signature line in all the emails that you send. That's easy. Number two, when you're talking to somebody on the phone, ask them if they want to join your email list to receive exclusive offers and announcements. And that's important. Nobody wants to join a newsletter. Nobody wants to get all this, added garbage email. You got to make it sound exclusive. You got to make it sound special. What are they going to get by joining that? Exclusive offers, exclusive announcements, first chance to get something. That type of a thing is what you want to market and push. Number three, tweet it once a week. Tweet about your email list, and don't forget to mention it on other social networks as well. Add a sign-up form to your website. We talked about this. Every website should be collecting email addresses, and you need to word it and have it be something special and exclusive and fun that somebody is going to want to give you their email address. If you have a WordPress website, there are numerous plugins that will easily add a sign-up form to your site without any programming. And most of the third-party email systems like a Constant Contact or a MailChimp or a HubSpot, they have the code that you can just copy and paste it and put it right in place. So it's not a big deal to do this. Next, work with other bloggers, other businesses and organizations to co-host or co-sponsor an event. Maybe not an in-person event as much as what we would have done, a year and a half ago, but there's lots of online events that you can do if in-person isn't relative right now. It's a great way to get in front of a whole new audience and then ask them to join your email list. If you're using any type of printed collateral, whether it's business cards or rack cards or brochures, print the URL address of where people can sign up for your email list and get special offers. Look for podcasts in your industry or an industry where the listeners might be potential customers. Send the podcast host an email explaining your background and your experience and offer to be a guest. I know from having a podcast, I'm always looking for guests. We'll have a run where we've got lots of people and then there's a dry spell and we're out searching for people to be a guest. So contact people, podcast hosts, and say, hey, I've got this specialty. I would love to be on your show. Then when you're on there, real quickly at some point, tell people how they can join your email list and how they can find you and reach out to you. Add social share buttons to your emails to extend the reach beyond your list. This invites your recipients to share the message and information with their friends. It's a great way to just get that snowball effect and have other people see your messaging. Don't forget friends and family. I mean, the reason being is that they should be your best supporters, and they all have friends of their own that might be interested in what you do. And last but not least, add a sign up link to your social bios on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Pinterest. Make it easy for people to connect with you. But let's not forget about reaching out and actually calling someone on the phone. You know, with all the tech and automation that has taken over our lives, it gets harder and harder to capture the attention of our customers. It gets harder for us to get them to open our emails. Picking up the phone and calling someone is still the best way to reach out, communicate, stay top of mind, and differentiate yourself from the competition. So don't forget about being old school and just calling people. So clients ask me all the time whether they should advertise on Facebook or whether they should advertise on AdWords. If a client can't afford to advertise on both and has a choice, I tend to recommend that they go with AdWords. And the reason that I choose AdWords is intent. So when people are on AdWords, they're actively searching for something specific. When it's a product or service that you provide, AdWords can put you in front of these potential customers. You pay when they click through to your website. You don't pay if they don't click. With Facebook, you can narrow down the demographic and the geographic targeting of who sees your ads. You can narrow your ad to only showing in front of certain groups, but the people who see your ad still may not be looking for your product or service right then and there. They may not need you for months or even years, and that means you'll have to continue to pay to put those ads in front of them so they won't forget you. On AdWords, the intent of the searcher, especially ones that may not be familiar with your brand, tends to be more for purchasing. And you can actually use keywords to kind of help flush out what stage of the buying cycle your audience is in. This can really be advantageous. You can put yourself in front of people who are looking to buy what you have right then and there, which is why I tend to like AdWords a little bit better. So now let's head into our FAQs. Betsy can come back on. She can field questions for us. I'm going to put my contact information up, and I certainly invite anyone to email me. Please connect with me on LinkedIn. Feel free to reach out if you have anything that you want to discuss with me. But Betsy, let's go to questions. Do we have any?
Absolutely, we do. We do. Liliana is asking, what are some of the best and most affordable business email providers? And she says that can also gather email addresses. So I'm assuming.
My favorite is MailChimp. And they've really increased the different services and features that they have. You can use it on a couple of different levels, but I like MailChimp. Now, if you want to get more into automated marketing, my favorite is ActiveCampaign. It is every bit as feature rich as HubSpot, but not nearly as expensive. The automated marketing systems can tend to be, they're a different animal, and they're a little bit more complicated, but MailChimp is my favorite for third-party email systems.
And actually Marty just piped up and said, I love MailChimp, but it does take a little time initially to learn it.
You know, unfortunately, with any online, whatever it is, whether it's Upwork, whether it's email, whether it's, whatever, all of these products and services have a learning curve. They just do. Luckily, there's a lot of information online. We can, watch a YouTube video, or we can do some Google searches if we need some help. And most of these systems have learning components, whether it be video or great knowledge bases that you can reference to get some information and some help. But yeah, they all do have a learning curve. Not going to lie about that.
Another question, from Sandy. She says, my business is my home. What should I use on Google, my business?
You can put your
She
address
has a,
in, but
excuse me,
not have it visible.
she has a P.O. box, if that matters.
I would probably put your home address in, but not have it visible. Because you don't want people showing up, obviously, at your at your front door. But I mean, you can use your P.O. box. Google has gone back and forth over the years about whether or not it allows P.O. boxes. So before you put the P.O. box in, I would just check and make sure what their current ruling is on that. But you can check to not have that address visible, so you don't have to feel weird about putting your home address in and having it show up to people when you don't want it to.
Perfect. So, in your opinion, what would be the best freelance platform to get started on?
Well, I'm probably slightly biased, but Upwork is my favorite. I like the way that platform works. I like the admin panel of it, and I just like the fact that there are a lot of companies for what I do that are looking for the type of services that I have. And the perfect system for you or your business may be a little bit different than for me. That's one of the reasons why I say, do a little research before you get involved in one particular one. Do some searches on their site and kind of see what comes up when you search for your service that you have. What other providers are on there? What are they charging? What are their specialties? How many jobs are listed on there in a particular category? But Upwork is my favorite.
Perfect. And so just to get a little better understanding too, with these couple of the questions, what's really the difference between when you talk about automation and email marketing?
Well, and talking about MailChimp does have some marketing automation features now, which they didn't years ago when I first got involved with them, but that's a lot of the things that they've been adding. So, automation. So does the system have the ability to send an email out or do something when, let's say, for example, somebody visits a page on your site or clicks a link on your site? Can it automatically be smart enough to know what has transpired with somebody on your website? And can it send an email based on what that activity was? Your HubSpots and your active campaigns have more of an ability to do that automated type of interaction, like Active Campaign, for example, which I also use. I've used MailChimp with a lot of my customers and with one of my businesses, an Active Campaign with the URL Doctor. But it has the ability to put people in and out of Facebook groups. So you can actually market to people on Facebook, and Active Campaign can put them in and out of a particular advertising group. They'll do something and it can pull them in and out of different groups. So, that's an automation feature that's really fantastic from a marketing standpoint. MailChimp, for example, doesn't have the ability to quite go that far, but it really, kind of depends on what you want to do. The automation systems are usually a step above just the third-party email systems. It just gives you more of an opportunity to do more specialized marketing with those customers. And some businesses just might not need that. It is more expensive to have that marketing automation. And again, MailChimp, I've noticed over the past 2 to 3 years in particular, has added different automations to their features that make it more affordable to get into that type of work.
Perfect. We do have some more questions coming in. And let me also say this too. If you guys would like to speak, and you know what, I tell you what, I'll just go ahead and click allow to talk. And if anybody wants to speak up, please do. That'll take me a second. Let me give Kim a couple more questions. Sandy says, so I use my P.O. box on my website. If that is different than my listing on Google My Business, is that a problem?
Yes.
You mentioned NAP should be the same. Okay.
It should be the same everywhere. Your website, every directory you're listed in, on Google My Business, anywhere that your address is, it should be the same. If it's not, that does create problems. So you want to make sure it's the same. Whichever one you're going to use, pick it and let that be the one that you use everywhere.
So does Google My Business allow you to use a PO box now?
I don't know. I haven't looked at PO box. I haven't had a PO box for years, and none of my clients have either. So that's why I said I would Google search that and check what their ruling is on that now. I know it's flip-flopped over the past 10 years or so, back and forth between PO boxes. So I would do a little research on that before you decided.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, one of the other questions was, can you speak to marketing tips for customer bases that aren't visible, such as customers who are prohibited by HIPAA, et cetera?
Marketing tips for customer bases that aren't visible.
Or Marty, do you want to maybe expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So my question is, there are some customers that are not able to really be visible. They can't go on, and they're not going to go on and like your page, or because my business, I serve customers who aren't quite, they aren't going to step out. They might be a medical center or treatment center, and they can't really step into the ring of being visible. So marketing to them has to be a little more widespread, but we have a hard time getting, we're not going to get those reviews. We're not going to get some of those things that are so out there. And I wanted to hear any marketing tips that you might have reaching those folks.
I don't understand why you would have any group that you wouldn't be able to market to.
So for instance, if a customer is prohibited by HIPAA laws, they can't speak about a customer, or a customer can't say their experience. They might be able, they wouldn't go to the work of trying to make sure it's worded properly. They'd be a little more afraid of the laws, which HIPAA laws are strong. So
okay, so that has nothing to do with you marketing to them.
Right, exactly. So marketing to them, I wondered if you had some tips to marketing to folks like that, to customer bases that are like that. Would you do it just the same?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you marketing to them doesn't have, I mean, unless I'm missing something, wouldn't have anything to do with HIPAA. You can market to anybody you want. I mean, if you can find information of who your potential customer is, you can market to them in any manner that you please. Now, them coming back and reviewing you, again, I'm not quite sure what HIPAA would have to do with somebody taking a review.
I'm not talking specifically about HIPAA. So let's say that I'm going to give a scenario, just a pie in the sky scenario. So let's say that I market to hospitals. Okay. Market to hospitals. Okay. And that hospital, they might be my customer, but they also have an end customer, which is someone who's prohibited, that they can't talk about that customer because of HIPAA laws. I'm not worried about marketing to them, but when other people, when I see other people, they have these wonderful Google reviews, what they're not going to do is come online and give a Google review, because they're too, they're going to be really conscious when it comes to medical, when it comes to, for instance, one of my customers are colleges. So colleges are going to be really careful to protect any, they're not going to share photos because they have to have those photo releases, those types of things, of students, all of those things. So even though I can market to them, I feel like sometimes it's a one-way street. I feel like sometimes I can't get that, what do I want to say? information back maybe by, I can't see who's looking at my information, even though I'm marketing to those, my target audience or my target customers.
But
They aren't going to market in return. They're not going to, continue the process so that other people can see, a review, or they're just not going to do that. And I get it.
If your client is the hospital or the college, then I mean, they're the one that you need the review from, not the
Right.
client that they're dealing with. And there's no HIPAA law that I know of that a hospital couldn't get on and say that you did a great job for them with whatever your service is. They're not giving any customer information away by giving you a good review.
that they might have to if they were, but I think if I targeted some of like my email marketing maybe toward that, I don't want to take up everybody's time, maybe doing some education of the review in like my email marketing of how to do that, because the first thing they would think is, oh, nope, I can't do that. So instead, and it's the easy way out. So maybe making it really easy for them, like you shared about the boxes and the pop-up fields, and maybe we can just do some things that way. It gave me some good ideas that way. I just thought maybe that you'd have some specific things that speak to some of those kind of tighter.
Well, again, they don't, when they're giving you a review and they don't have to mention the other clients. They're your client. They're the one that's reviewing you, not their clients. And they don't have to mention, I mean, if you ended up doing work for them on Susie Smith, they don't have to mention Susie Smith's name in their review for you. They can say, hey, Marty did a really good job working for us. They don't need to mention any of the clients' names in that. So
you're right, but when it gets into medical or students like that, they get scared. But I think that you gave me some great tips on making sure, like teaching them how to, I think sharing with them not to be afraid.
Right. And, I call them and explain it.
Yeah.
Hey, right. I would really love for you to review our work for you. You don't have to mention any specific clients, but what we were able to do for you. And,
educating my customers.
Kim and Marty,
okay.
Hi, sorry to break in, but I used to work at a job and we used to have to comply with HIPAA, and basically all you really need to do is ask them for a general review that doesn't mention any details. It just says, wow, Marty was so great. She provided the exact services that we needed. It was timely. And they don't have to mention anything at all specific in any way. They just need to give you a good review. And it can be very short, just a pleasant review that said, she did what we needed her to do. She's always awesome. She can contact her anytime. And that's it. Google's not looking for 1,000 keywords. It's your job to put the keywords that everybody else would be searching for. And then you have these positive reviews that said you did what needed to be done. And that's it. You don't have to have them say anything about the clients.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, and Liliana, your question was the next one. Do you want to ask it, or do you want me to? I can read it. Okay.
No, I'll ask it. Okay, so I was testing out the mobile friendliness and the speeds while we were doing this, but I was also trying to pay attention to you. Does Google give any in-depth lessons or ways to figure out how to resolve the issues that it identifies, or does it just tell you what's wrong and then you kind of have to figure out how to resolve those issues with mobile friendliness and speeds?
It depends. Sometimes, depending on which one you use, it can give you some detail on what the problem is. But I'll be honest, sometimes it's just something that you'd have to call a web professional to fix, whoever's managing your website. Depends on what the issue is. But some of them, I've seen them where they can be really in depth. But and let me also mention that a large part of that speed issue is your hosting company. So, if you were on crappy hosting, that's $9.99 a month from Bluehost and this host, Gator and GoDaddy, and they have different levels of service. And if you're paying for that cheap level of service and you're on a gang server with thousands of other websites, that will impact the speed of your website. It also impacts your security. You know, you want to be on VPS or you want to be on managed hosting where you're in a partition space, and those usually aren't $9, you know, they're not your $2.99, your $4.99 a month. They're usually the little more expensive services. But with
Right.
that, you know, you get so much more when it comes to security, when it comes to speed. So pay attention to the hosting as well. A lot of times, if you're with the right host, that simple one thing can make a huge difference in your speed. And if you have a WordPress website, because that's my specialty and we actually host WordPress websites, so I know this one, you want to use a host that their server equipment is specifically tuned to your website. So if you've got a
Okay.
WordPress website, it should be on
Nope.
a host that does WordPress. If it's Wix or one of those, that's different. And they're, you know, like a Wix, you get the hosting as part of your website and it's all tuned to Wix. So you're good. But you want to pay attention depending on what kind of a website you have and where it is as to what the hosting is.
Okay, yeah, I have a Square website and I'll just look into whatever services that and billing plans or whatever that they have as well. Okay.
And some of the Square, Wix, and some of those, that can be a problematic issue with their services, is that you don't have the ability to control that hosting. You don't have the ability to ramp it up. So yeah, definitely look into that. Again, it's another reason why I like WordPress, because you have the ability, if your hosting's crappy, you can change it to another host. You can put it wherever you want it to be. On those proprietary systems, you can't do that. It's been built in Square, it's been built in Wix. That's where it's got to stay, regardless of what kind of hosting or what other services they give you. So, you know, there's a lot of different considerations in those sites.
I can say this. I had Square as my e-commerce. I had Square, but I also had a WordPress website. And so the way that my web company provider said to me, they said, just remember this, that WordPress plays better with Square than Square plays with WordPress. Would you agree with that, Kim?
WordPress plays better with Square than
Yeah. So when I did my information, I did it. When I changed all my information for the merchandise that I sold, I changed all the information in my WordPress site, not in the Square. And then what happened? It updated. So it updated Square versus changing it in the Square, in my Square, on Square, and trying to have Square update it to WordPress.
So you've got
and it worked great.
You've got two separate websites?
No, I didn't have two separate websites. I had one website that was on WordPress, but my because I did pop-up stores, I needed the Square at that time. I needed Square, so Square was my money. Square is where I did my commerce.
Square was your merchant account, and you had the merchant,
and we married it to my WordPress website. But I changed everything when I did pricing and for the merchandise and items. I did that through WordPress, and they'd say, do it in WordPress and let WordPress update it to Square versus Square changing. Like if I had a price change or something went on sale, don't change it in Square, change it in your WordPress website and let it update. And I can tell you, it worked great. I loved WordPress.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
Do you use WooCommerce?
I'm sorry.
Do you use WooCommerce?
Yes.
Yeah.
WooCommerce for Square. I'm sorry, I didn't state that. I apologize.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And in fact, a lot of
together great.
It does. A lot of the e-commerce sites I do are using WooCommerce in WordPress, and then using a merchant like Square or Authorize.net or whoever a particular client uses. But yes, you're right. You update it one place within WordPress and it just kind of flows out to your merchant account.
I liked it a lot.
Yes.
All right. Well, wonderful discussion. Thank you so much. I don't think we have any other questions right now. Kim, is there anything else you feel you've gotten everything? Okay.
Well, I appreciate everybody for coming. Again, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me, connect with me on LinkedIn. You've got my email address, and good luck to everyone. I hope I was able to share some information you can all use.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And just know, you guys, you'll get I will send out an evaluation, and we appreciate it if you would complete that. That helps us to provide more wonderful professionals like Kim here. And also, if you're interested, please complete that CARES application, and let's see if we can assist you, see if we can pay for you to get some direct consulting. We would love to see how we can help you. So thank you, everybody. And y'all stay safe out there. Take care. And yeah, reach out to either one of us if you need anything.
Thank you, Betsy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kim.